going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. It's your boy Nate. We're going to jump right into it. Today's topic is going to be about how do you know if women are interested, okay? The biggest question of all time, all right? And really, guys, we're going to simplify this. By the end of this video, you are going to know if she likes you or not. It's going to be simple. You're going to know within minutes, seconds, okay? It's going to be simple. You're never going to have this question ever again, all right? And if you do, well, you're not, because we're going to talk about that too, all right? So how do you know if she's interested, guys? A lot of guys find themselves in this situation where, you know, they're talking to a chick and they get the vibe that, you know, she might be into him, but then they get the number and then they talk and then they try to go for a date, but then she doesn't really want to, and then it never goes anywhere, right? So let's talk about that, okay? I want to talk about guys who maybe never been on a date up to maybe guys who are a little bit more experienced, okay? And then how you can get there. So let's say you haven't really gone on a whole lot of dates. Let's say you've never been on a date, but you've gotten over your fear of talking to women and you can talk to them like people, right? Maybe you got a couple numbers, you're getting to that point, but you just feel stuck, like you're not getting anywhere, like you can't actually go out with any of these women. All right, and you're confused and you're just stuck and you're like, man, what am I doing? Can my boy Nate really help me out? Well, yeah, I can. That's why you're here. I appreciate it. So guys, if you're in that position, there's a reason, okay? And honestly, it's gonna sound really cliche, but it's because she doesn't find you interesting enough, okay? Dating, guys, when it comes down to it, is pretty simple. Guys, dramatize how you date, okay? They think it's this huge, like, if I date a girl, I gotta marry her, it's gonna be happily ever after. If I mess this up, it's gonna be the end of the world, right? It's a very scarce mindset, okay? A lot of guys get very stuck and they're like, I can't mess up. One, women can pick up on that, right? Confidence says everything. Confidence is really just knowing, like, it's having a so what attitude, right? It's like a so what? She says yes, great. If not, great. That means that we're not gonna work out. That means like she wasn't into me. I can stop wasting my time. Straight up. Doesn't mean you have to be like enemies. You're cool with it. You're like, okay, cool, you know, don't work out. Crazy enough, guys, sometimes down the road, maybe you can. Who knows? But guys, you gotta be interesting. You gotta have like a future. You gotta have something you're going for, right? You gotta have that spark of life. Women love that stuff, guys. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, guys, I've had it all together, been broke. Doesn't matter, across the board. If you just have a goal, if you have a dream, if you can like talk about that and be passionate about that, guys, I'm telling you, like, women love that, right? Because most guys don't have it. Most guys are so stuck on just getting by, playing Fortnite, playing video games, watching sports. That's it, right? Like, there's no like future, right? And subconsciously, right? And this goes for all women, right? Doesn't matter if they're a little bit on the looser side or a little bit more devout, you know, religious women, right? They're all looking for ultimately a type that they can be with long term. They want that security, right? They want that safety. So you gotta have that going for you, okay? The other thing too is you gotta really, really watch how you present yourself. A lot of guys get real sloppy and they're just like, I'm gonna wear what I wanna wear and I don't really care. She's gonna like me for who I am. Well, if you're like a, you know, 6'4" stud who dresses halfway decent, that could probably work out pretty well for you. But again, you gotta have the confidence, right? You gotta have that true confidence. And what I mean by that is don't just wear something because you're like, yeah, screw it, I don't care what they think. Genuinely enjoy what you wear, but also make sure that you're somewhat matching. Also make sure that it makes some sort of sense, right? Like, you gotta own it, right? There's a saying that the suit doesn't make the man makes the suit. All right? So take that for what it's worth, guys. I've gotten out on dates, numbers and everything. I used to wear, back when I was younger, Um, Man, I used to wear like graphic tees, cargo shorts. Didn't matter. I was super confident. Now that might have turned some women off. All right, I got a little bit better results when I actually started to dress up in things that I thought were a little bit more like presentable. But it really doesn't matter what you wear, right? It's about who you are and also how you present yourself, right? Yes, tall guys do have somewhat of an advantage. Yes, if you're a little bit more handsome, but guys, a lot of things can be fixed if you just go to the gym, you work out on something you enjoy, you're confident in yourself, you take care of yourself, you have a goal, you're working towards something, like very simple things, right? You can get going on today, right? You can take one small step today. So guys, that'll take care of about 99% of just getting a date in the first place. All right, but let's say you get to the point where you get stuck, right? A lot of guys get stuck in this mindset because it's been shown in like media, movies, and all this stuff, right? Where we wait for the woman to make the first move. And I don't know where this started. This was something that I was actually guilty of quite a bit, and sometimes I still struggle with, because it's so much easier to just sit back and wait for a woman to make the move. And in a way, I get it, right? A lot of guys are maybe timid, right? Maybe they're actually scared because they see all this stuff about women who say that guys are harassing them if they try to talk to them or if they just look at them, right? All this crazy stuff. But guys, those are very isolated cases, okay? And a lot of that can be avoided if you just present yourself and you just hold yourself like in a confident manner. But if you're not getting anywhere, guys, it's because you're not escalating. It's because you are not trying to take it to that next step. A lot of guys, might dance around a little bit, beat around the bush. What I mean by that is we don't really get to the point on things that we should get to the point on, all right? A lot of guys might think, well, I'm going to get to know her. I'm going to talk to her for weeks, months. Some guys even think I'm going to talk to her for years. And then eventually she's either going to ask me out or there's going to be this perfect window of opportunity. The sun is going to shine down. Doves are going to fly through the sky. There's going to be a rainbow in the background. Everything's going to make sense. And that's when I'm going to know. I'm just going to ask to go out on a date with her. Guys, you know what one of the biggest complaints that women have is that guys don't ask them out sooner. When they find out that guys like them, but then they're like, yeah, we've been talking for a long time. I don't know why he didn't just ask me out. Those same guys go, well, I didn't know. It's like, well, dude, if a girl's talking to you, right, one or two things is going to happen. One, you're going to stay friends forever because you never asked, or because you don't want to take her out, right, and she doesn't really know the difference. Two, you're going to ask her out. Well, three things are going to happen. Two, you're going to ask her out. She's going to say, yeah, you guys are going to go out. And three, she says no. And you either stay friends or you just move on, right? It doesn't have to be this weird, big thing where you have a falling out, she's your enemy. Y'all can still be friends. It might happen down the road. Who knows, right? So you guys got to escalate. You guys got to actually go for it, right? Like, you can do it within like a day or two. It can be within like seconds or minutes. Like, you can tell, right? Like you can actually tell if she likes you. It's pretty simple, especially in person, okay? Person, if she keeps looking at you, right? If she keeps kind of like, if she's in your vicinity a lot, if she's like around you, if she's like responding quickly to you, like, guys, come on, like, don't be stupid, all right? I don't go for the girls that like to play these games that they're not going to text back in like 4 to 5 hours. Because guys, I'm going to be real with you. I'm a guy who really doesn't like check my phone a whole lot. I still check it. Goodness, probably at least every 2 to 3. If I'm super busy, super into something, maybe 4 hours, right? But these chicks are like, yeah, I'm not gonna. Even guys too are like, yeah, I'm not gonna respond for 4 to 8 hours or days, right? It's kind of stupid. It really is. I get it if you're super busy or you don't want to talk to someone. That's different. But like, you should know, right? Playing games is just, why waste your time? All right. Let's say you're good with that. Okay, let's say you go out on a date. Let's say that you're at the next step. All right. let's say you're having problems. You're like, man, I just don't know. Like, let's say you're going out on dates, and you're getting kind of, you're not really getting past that first date. Okay. You kind of want to go back to the first point that I was making in this video. All right. A lot of guys, whether they have natural, let's say they come from a wealthy family, maybe they have a nice car, some nice clothes. Let's say they're genetically gifted, right? Nice facial makeup, not like makeup, but like, you know what I mean? Like a nice figure. They're tall, whatever. That might get them in the door. You might be able to get on a date, but then they find out like, oh my gosh, like I'm not able to go on second, third dates. Go back to that first point, guys. Reassess, see what you can maybe do a little bit better on. If you're a good conversationalist, maybe work on how you present yourself. Are you wearing shirts that have stains on them? Are you really wearing like decent clothes? Are you giving the appearance that you're dead broke? Like things like that, guys. You gotta like look at that. But oftentimes, the biggest part is that you don't have good conversation skills and you don't have goals. Because if you had those things and you're talking about those things and you're in that future mindset, guys, women really, really like that. Also, they like to talk about themselves. So maybe you're talking too much about yourself and you're not asking about her, right? Just ask questions. Ask women questions, guys. They love that. Like, I say this and I live by it. Literally 90% of conversation with women is just asking questions. Be like, oh, that sounds neat. Tell me more about that. Oh, really? You moved from there? Well, how long did you live there before you moved? Guys, you can just make up literal questions about anything. You could be looking at like a couple across the street and be like, so what do you think about the way that they're dressed? They're like, you make conversation, right? Women love to be heard. They love to know that you're listening. So that'll solve it a lot, guys. But let's say you're past that. All right, let's say you're going out on multiple dates, but it's not going where you want it to go. Guys, again, this goes back to your strategy, right? Why are you dating? Who are you trying to date? Now, this is gonna kind of veer off here in multiple directions because every guy's different, but I'm gonna talk about this from kind of my perspective and what I think a lot of guys are coming at this from. So if you are getting on multiple dates, let's say you're going out multiple dates, right? Again, you got to keep that element of escalation. You got to keep moving forward. You got to keep living your life. You got to keep being interesting, right? You got to maintain. You got to keep building, right? Men are builders. You got to maintain. You got to build. You got to maintain. You got to build. You got to keep going. Okay. But you need to have a purpose. All right. Some people say you should date for years. I really don't think it takes that long. Again, I made a video on this. You should know exactly what women are about within the first few dates. But let's say you're going out with like good women, all right? You need to know like why you're dating. A lot of guys, I'm gonna be real with you, aren't in a mental, financial, emotional, whatever you want to call it, space to actually like court. And by courting, I mean like dating to marry, right? Like actually moving in that direction. A lot of guys aren't ready for it, right? They're not where they want to be in their career. They're not where they want to be financially. And so I would ask you, why are you dating in the first place? Is it just to get experience with women? Is it because you're bored? On the other hand, is it because you've fallen into this weird red pill mindset, this alpha bro stuff of I gotta just run through a bunch of women, I gotta bed a bunch of women, I gotta be with the baddest women? Like, is that why? Right? Is it more of a social kind of like, yeah, bud, like, let me tell you about the story about this chick yesterday. Like, is it that? If it is, again, you might want to reassess. But let's say, because I believe that most guys watching this, they're going to be looking at it from the perspective of, okay, yeah, I do like women, but I also want to be going for long-term things, okay? I want to actually get married, find a good woman. You got to have the hard conversations, guys. You have to actually be talking in that direction. Does your first day need to revolve around like how many kids you're going to have and like where you plan to move and where you like all these nitty-gritty things? Maybe. Depending on the person. It doesn't have to be. But eventually you want to get to the point, right? where you're talking about these things, you should be able to tell, again, pretty quickly who you're dating, right? That's just the fact. You should be able to tell pretty quickly if she a woman that is long-term material. Would you introduce her to your mother or a mother figure in your life, right? I look back, guys, I'm gonna be real with you. There were women that I would not have introduced to my mom. Kind of crazy, right? And these are women that I dated, right, for a while. And looking back, like, you know, you live and learn, but it's like, why? Why was I like wasting our time? You know what I mean? And that's why I keep bringing back these things like, why are you doing it? Guys, if you're just trying to be with women, if you're just trying to like up your ego, by all means, like, I'm not really the channel for that. But if you're trying to find good women, that's what I really want you to go for, right? That's what I think most guys are going for. Then you just want to kind of get to that point, right? And you can date for months, a year or more. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but coming from a more traditional, conservative, more religious mindset, my thing is, if you're dating to marry. And if you're dating to marry, why waste so much time, right? Because depending on how you look at it, right? If you're with this girl, let's say y'all aren't doing anything, you're just gonna be delaying it, right? It's like, you guys are getting closer and closer and closer. It's only a matter of time before something happens. Or two, let's say you guys are already going at it. Well, you want to get to a point where, okay, if you had a kid, can you provide for that kid? Are you going to be willing to like marry this woman? Again, guys, you got to look at this stuff long term. I know we get so caught up on a pretty face and a nice figure, but man, if you could filter it through, would I be okay having a kid with this woman? Like, that's the thing you got to think about. Like, bare minimum, would I be okay with having a kid with this woman? Like, what would that do to my life? Even if we didn't stay together, like, what would that do? That's gotta be like bare minimum, guys. Bare minimum, because you're not gonna be able to change her, right? So, guys, that's pretty much it. And I know you guys are like, wait a minute, like, we just went from like step A to Z. What in the world? Well, yeah, you know she's gonna be interested if things keep escalating. Pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. Guys, it's crazy. You get caught up. I know guys who've gotten caught up in women that they think like them for years. For years. Women they've never even dated, but they swear that one day she's gonna change. It's like, dude, she rejected you. She didn't want to go out with you. Maybe y'all are still friends, right? Because a lot of women just like to have that friendship, right? They're social creatures. They like to communicate, and they know that you like them, so a lot of them just like the attention. And guys, I want to leave you on this final note, okay? And I know you guys are probably still reeling from like, it's really that simple. It's like, yes, it's really that simple. Just escalate. If things don't escalate, if things aren't going anywhere, that's how you know. If you need to remember what I talked about, just rewind the video, watch it from the beginning. I give a very simple progression, right, of what you do, how you pick up on things. But again, is she willing to go along with how you escalate? Yes or no? If no, then you have your answer. You move on to the next one. Don't waste your time. Guys, I want to finish the video on this point because a lot of guys, let's be real, a lot of guys might not know what dating's like. They might be so stuck on a woman, they might have never actually gone out, had a serious relationship. I get it. I want to encourage you though, okay? One of the biggest things I see with a lot of guys is they get stuck. They get one-itis. They get so narrowly focused on one woman, their whole everything just becomes that woman, their whole focus, everything. And guys, it is crazy to me how guys can go a year, 2 years, pining over the same woman. Some of these women, guys, even get married, they get into relationships, and these guys are still going after them. Guys, you have to hold yourself to better. I'm not saying that there's not women who have changed their minds and have decided to go out with you later on in life. I'm not saying that at all. I've been there, especially back when I was a lot more inexperienced and I didn't go on a whole lot of dates. There were women who did come back in my life, who blew me off at first, but months or maybe even sometimes years later, we reconnect, and it's a totally different situation because, in a lot of ways, one, myself, I've always been in the mindset to keep going and leveling up. So I became more attractive, right? Or that woman kind of did her own thing, didn't get the long term commitment that she wanted, and saw me as, well, that guy, he wanted to ask me out. Well, I'll give him a shot. And then, right, I'm gonna be real with you guys though. I would say over 95% of the time, it's not gonna work out long term. And if it does, you're always gonna be wondering in the back of your head, does she really like me for who I am? Or is it just circumstance? Okay? I'm gonna make a video on that, but guys, is it just circumstance? Why she's hanging around, why she's coming back, right? Is it because she changed her mind? Very few women, I'll be real with you guys, it doesn't matter how macho of a man you are, very few women are gonna like actually change their minds and just completely 100% go for you. Just doesn't happen, right? Because I truly believe that if you are you, right, there's an essence about you. And if you click with that person, with that person's essence, with who they are, it's really not gonna matter like how they look, how much money they have, and all this stuff, right? That doesn't mean that you should settle for the lowest standard for yourself, that you should settle for barely scraping by, that you should settle for the lowest common denominator, guys. That's not what I'm saying. Because as men, we're supposed to maintain, build, maintain, build. Don't cut yourself short. Don't get so stuck on a woman. Don't be so stuck on trying to win her over, have her come back. Because what's funny, guys, is when you forget about her, when you move on, when you do your own thing, I'm not saying 100% of the time they're going to come back in the picture, but a majority of the time they will come back at least once. They'll try to reconnect, they'll try to rekindle things, right? Try to pick up where you left off. It's up to you to make that decision, guys. It really is. But just know, if it didn't work out then, just might be something to keep in mind. So guys, that's how you know if a woman likes you or not. Pretty simple stuff, right? Let me know what you guys think below, and I'll see you at the next one.